Where were you when you heard the news, and what did you think?
Yeah, I was on the train, and at first my initial reaction was, let me reach out to as many Chelsea fans as I know, and obviously the first one being my father, who's obviously a big Chelsea fan, seems to get older. It didn't come as any surprise to him, because he said the football that he'd been watching for a long time now had become boring, it'd become stale. He said he was sick and tired of seeing forwards and backwards passing. And then when you look at the money that Tuchel spent, you kind of think, well, maybe they deserve a little bit more from what they're getting. But it still comes as a shock, because I still believe he's a top quality coach who'd lost his way a little bit. But you could tell that there was a serious kind of breakdown between him and Todd Bowley. If you look at some of the comments he's made, and then I think it was pre-season, he made a couple of comments about the structure of the club, and he was frustrated about the players not coming through the door. So it is a surprise, but one thing I do know is that Thomas Tuchel will not be out of work for long, because he is a top quality coach.
Chelsea at the moment, there's 6 in the Premier League. They're 1 win away from top 4.
That's the surprising thing.
Well, he's won the World Club Cup, they've won the Champions League, they've won the Super Cup, and he's won various awards as best coach, etc., etc. He's just been allowed to spend £280 million. The window is closed. Something tells me that, there's 2 ways I look at it. One, there's no way whatsoever you can sack a manager on the back of that defeat last night. Bad defeat, away from home, 1-0.
But I think the comments afterwards could have got him the sack.
I'd like to think that if you're a multi-millionaire and you're a businessman, you don't just make snapshot decisions like that, right? But then I'm thinking, well, if he hasn't just made that decision, why is he allowing a manager to spend £280 million, if indeed he is, and it's not Todd Bowley's decisions to bring all these players in? But also, if you are going to sack him, do it before the window closes, so your new manager can come in and you can speak to him about new players coming to the club. I mean, none of it makes sense to me.
The timing is bizarre, really bizarre, because as you just said there, the window's just shut. He spoke about how much the affection he's got for him and Aubameyang, the relationship they have. Lets him play, 59 minutes, and that's it, done. Finished, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense, and it is harsh. But as I said, I don't watch Chelsea week in, week out, but I'm told the football wasn't great. But even when you look at his record, I mean, Premier League goals conceded since he got the job. He's third behind Manchester City, who conceded 51, and Liverpool, that are 52. And even when you look at points since he got the job, there's only Manchester City and Liverpool that are above him. So clearly, and we look at Manchester City and Liverpool as the 2 best teams in this country, don't we? And they're third behind them in points gained. So you look at his overall record. Is he doing that bad of a job? Do you know what I mean? He got wins in the Champions League as well. I know this season has been a little bit inconsistent, but still, I thought they would have at least given him a couple months to kind of gel these players that they've brought in the window, just to try and get them over the line. But as I said, to me, it looks like new ownership, same model. Manager doesn't do well for a couple of months, get him out.
We've got loads to talk about throughout the show, and obviously we'll try and touch on every single department as to who's going to be the new manager, who could be maybe his backroom staff, are they going to join him, what does this mean to the formation, the players, etc. If you want to have your say, that number again is 0371 722 334, and in a moment we'll cross over to Quake, who's outside Stamford Bridge. So we've got every single angle covered. Let me just quickly, because we'll be talking about this throughout the next 3 hours, let me get your view on the favourite now for the job. Looks like one of your favourites as well.
You know who
Graham
I
Potter.
said this.
Yeah.
I said that.
The last I heard, Brighton had given them permission to speak to him, so he's obviously getting a car or a plane or whatever he's going to get
top
himself.
Quality coach.
So here's my question, right? He'll be literally thrown in at the deep end, right? When you're manager of Brighton, a little bit like, I'm not comparing the managers or the clubs, but I'm just giving you another example.
Everton, Man United.
No, I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say Sean Dyche when he was at Burnley, right? Did ridiculously well, got him up to 7th, got him Europa League football. But no, he didn't really move on to a bigger club, right? Well, he didn't. He didn't. And I just think with Potter, and you love him, he's loved by a lot of people. I think he's very good. I'm not convinced as much as you are, but I think he's good. But if a club like Chelsea come in, he has to go, right? But sorry, Ben. So I was going to say though, I think he's been thrown into such the deep end that what is expected from this club is like nothing he's been used to at Brighton.
But that's like any new coach when they get this type of opportunity. Like this type of opportunity doesn't come around too often to get a club that've just spent 250 million. 280 million ready to go. But I think one thing about Graham Potter is that he's a top quality coach. So right now, if he does take the Chelsea job, he doesn't have to worry about getting players in the door right now. All he's got to do now, from at least until January.
I know, but it's pressure. He's got to do well. He's got to take the last 8 at least in the Champions League.
Yeah, I understand.
He's got to get Champions League football next season.
He'll understand all that, but first and foremost, he's got to coach these players, and that's what he's very good at. Now, progress is not always about just the points in the games that you win, because obviously at Brighton he's done a fantastic job, and when you look at his record, you'd probably say, is it's a bit underwhelming in terms of the wins that they've got compared to the losses. But progress is not always about that. It's about the style of football they play, what he's done in the transfer market, what players has he made better. And when you watch Brighton, first and foremost, you enjoy watching their football. They've got an identity to the way they play. The recruitment they've done at that football club has been second to none. So I think, has taken that club forward. Even though the points and the wins may not suggest that they're improving, they are as a football club. So for me, he would be the perfect candidate for that Chelsea, because they don't need to worry about anyone else coming in, identifying players, bringing new players in. All they need to worry about from now until January is just coaching. And fair, it's shorter because of the World Cup. All he needs to do is coach, get Chelsea playing attractive football, and the quality players that they've got in their squad and in their team will take care of the results.
Okay. We'll take calls on all the above, 03717223344. Before we do that, let's head over to Stamford Bridge right now. talkSPORT's Kwaku Afari is there. Kwaku, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good, I'm very well. Set the scene. So tell us exactly where you are, people about, what's the mood like outside the bridge?
So I've been outside Stamford Bridge for the whole day, and I've been soaking up the atmosphere, really. Chelsea fans are in shock. It's sent shockwaves around the world of football. Thomas Tuchel being sacked by Chelsea. Let us not forget that this is the man that won the Champions League for the club in 2021, taking over from Frank Lampard. They've made the best part of £250 million worth of signings this summer. A lot of these players are, we were led to believe, Thomas Tuchel players, Aubameyang being one of them. He only got 69 minutes the other day against Dynamo Zagreb before he was taken off. So this has sent shockwaves around the world of football. I've talked to fans earlier, they're kind of split. Some fans understand Chelsea taking the decision at this time, and there are other fans that are decrying the fact that this board have taken such aggressive action at this time when Chelsea are on their knees, really. We all saw the game against Dynamo Zagreb yesterday, where Chelsea looks a shadow of their former selves, and this does not look like a side that will compete for the top European honours just a year ago. So Chelsea fans at the moment are worried about the game they've got against Fulham this Saturday, which is live on talkSPORT. Penny for the fans of those, or penny for the thoughts of those fans who are going to that game, because Chelsea right now have no idea what's going on. They don't know who's coming in. Graham Potter is the man that's touted to take this job, but he hasn't got experience at the top level. We've seen Chelsea managers come and go. Chelsea managers have got more experience than Graham Potter. So the fact that they're bringing in a manager that's never experienced, never managed in the Champions League, had never managed these big egos, is worrying signs for Chelsea fans.
Kwaku, do you think it's a sign of the times, though, where you said it yourself there about Graham Potter? He hasn't managed at the top level the Champions Leagues and the big egos, but we've seen Chelsea bringing these type of managers in and maybe get instant success and it kind of peter out. Is it nice to maybe see a different approach where maybe Potter is given time to coach these players and maybe get a bit of stability in that football club?
Well, let us not forget that a year ago when Tottenham were looking for a new manager before they brought in Nuno Espirito Santo, they approached Graham Potter, who turned them down. So Todd Bowley's got a job to convince Potter that this is a long-term job. This is a job that he'll be able to see through. The transfer window is closed, so he can't bring in any of his old players, only players that he knows. Obviously, Cucurella is somebody that he'll be very familiar with from his time at Brighton. But it's a Chelsea dressing room that's full of egos, full of internationals, and full of players that are used to winning the biggest trophies. So Graham Potter coming into this changing room where there's vast amounts of experience all over the dressing room, it's going to be a task in itself. And like I said, Todd Bowley's got a job on his hands trying to convince Graham Potter that this is not just a short-term deal. He's going to be here for the long run. In my opinion, somebody who's followed Chelsea for a number of years, to see somebody who's coming in to play progressive football and also somebody who understands what it's like to manage in the Premier League is only going to be a benefit to Chelsea. But I think the biggest issue that Graham Potter is going to have coming into Chelsea is dealing with the big egos within the Chelsea dressing room.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.